And then we had a subsequent slide that said when they were billing how
Yeah.
much.
Welcome everyone to the Orange County Office 365 Productivity Group. Woo! Did I have to read that? Yeah. No, I think that this user group itself has taken shape over time, and Tim's not here, but Tim Odell ran this for quite a while and kept the momentum going, and then things petered a little bit in the last year. We're really looking to really pull this thing back together, and I really appreciate those who. How many people were here last month? Yeah, so we've already got a core group. I'm feeling like, you know, there's a lot of momentum, there's a lot of energy, and you know, when we talk about user groups, it really is about you, and it's about our ability to kind of keep a cohesive group going and keep gaining momentum. And I apologize, I missed the last one. I really have a vested interest in helping Orange County kind of stay cohesive and keep momentum. And Tim had expressed that one of the reasons they started having an issue was speakers. One of the things you'll find with David, Ryan, and I, we do not have a problem finding speakers. So you'll always have speakers. That will not be a problem here.
Also, if anybody wants to speak,
Yes.
just kind of show off some of the cool stuff you've done and working on, we're definitely would welcome it.
It's an open invitation. Anybody who ever wants to talk about what you're doing in your organization, or you've got some topic you'd like to put in front of the group, we're definitely always looking. And as well, we want this to be a place where people who are looking for a sounding board, or being able to kind of like bounce ideas off of people, this is that place where, hey, I'm struggling with something, or looking for something. Maybe you're looking for even people. This is a great place for people who are looking for work, and the inverse, people who are looking for employees, they're looking for help. I don't want this to be just a recruiting, you know, in fact, I'd be careful about getting too many recruiters in here, but people who are truly trying to grow as an organization, we want this to be a safe place where people can share and participate. So a little bit of logistics. There is a Wi-Fi called PeopleSpace. So anybody who wants to get online for whatever reason, keeping up with work or checking out your email, or I would encourage social media sharing and all that kind of good stuff too. And we do have validation, so make sure before you leave, make sure we can get you validated. Thanks to Proficient for handling the validations today. So I mentioned social media. Got a hashtag OC365. The Office 365 Productivity and SharePoint user group, or however the really long username we have. We're trying to build up this idea of OC365. I think it kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit more. What's interesting about this user group is it's part of a Southern California Productivity and Office 365 user group. Our meetup, basically the meetup is the way we're going to kind of announce things, so that way you can be aware of what's going on, and as long as you're just connected with Meetup. Meetup's a great way for outside people to join. So there is like a LinkedIn SharePoint user group for Orange County. I've noticed that hasn't been as regular around communication, so make sure you're part of the meetup. The meetup will actually be how we announce the meetings both in San Diego as well as Orange County. So, and what's kind of cool is we've been trying to kind of coordinate between the two. Every 2 weeks is the idea. So San Diego being the 2nd week and Orange County being the 4th week. And you're like, this isn't the 4th week.
Right.
And that's absolutely true. What was last week? Anyway, there's always going to be conflicts. And so that's another reason to get involved in the meetup. Do you have anything on the tip of your tongue?
No.
Okay.
Good to see everybody.
There was that little thing in LA last week.
Oh, yes.
Yes. The SharePoint Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How many people went to the SharePoint Saturday in LA? Yeah, me too. Yeah, that was really good. And well, speaking of, so make sure you're part of everybody in here on the meetup. Yeah. Anybody who's not, make sure you join the meetup. The schedule for today should be pretty standard. We do our eat and greet, we do our welcome, which is what's happening here. Essentially, depending on how times go, we may, depending on groups and speakers, we may actually try and have a little bit of time where we do more of the social stuff. We definitely want to leave some time where this is a user group. We really want this to be cohesive, get to know each other a little bit more. Today's particular session, which we're starting in about 15 minutes, if we get through all this, is on stream. So even people who are like, is this a SharePoint user group? We want to be more embracing. I think as Microsoft grows, there's the M365. I would say even that umbrella, even like say we're talking about AIP, it's okay for us to talk about that entire productivity space, compliance, security, as it relates to Office 365, Microsoft 365. They can call it whatever they want, but I think there's that general center of gravity around SharePoint, Office 365, Microsoft 365. But we don't want to get caught in the politics of what happens at Microsoft. It's really a group of individuals who are very interested in being active and participating in this community. And I expect it to evolve over time. Stream is a fantastic topic. Ryan, one of our resident MVPs, part of the committee here for the user group. Speaking of committee, anybody who wants to be involved in the committee as well is definitely welcome to help us as we're working on meetings and events and things like that. Don't forget the parking validation.
Can I get that started now?
Absolutely. Tell you how you want to do it. Do you want people to pass their cards to the end of the aisle?
So it's pretty simple. I'll get it validated and bring it back, but you have to give me a card in order to get one back. I've got no order check on that.
So just pass your
I'm going to go this way.
validation. Oh, he's going to come pick them up. Just hand them out and he'll come pick them up.
Ron, you're good. Toby, you're good. On your first name again? Jaron. I'm remembering it all. Jared's good.
So welcome to the new members. We have a number of new members, 14 more from last week. The meetup group. What's interesting about this meetup group is we are trying to share knowledge and information with people in San Diego so that people who want to be able to go to both or live in between both. So we're posting both the San Diego and the Orange County meetings in the meetup. All right, so let's do, I expect, I don't want this to take a ton of time every month, but I do like the idea of people talking about and sharing so people can we can get to know each other a little more. I want you guys to throw out something that you're kind of interested in. So rather than just saying, there's the default stuff, but we want to ask something kind of interesting as well. So let's say what your name is, where you work. I don't know that we care how long you've been working with SharePoint this month. Let's ask a third question that's like
Favorite Office 365 feature.
Favorite product in the product or feature in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem.
Hey.
All right, and I'll start it just to help you guys get going. I'm Joel Olison.
Hi, Joel.
I'm a director at Proficient. And my favorite, I think my favorite this week, I'll say it that way. I'm really interested in the new AI features and Power Apps. But I'm super excited about Teams. Like, I'm crazy about Teams right now. But, yeah, go ahead.
Ryan Schouten with Blizzard Entertainment. My favorite feature at this point in time is Stream, and I'm going to talk about it today. So,
Awesome. Let's go this way.
Yeah, my name is Alan Foote. I'm a computer instructor at Saddleback College out in Mission Viejo, and I love to use Teams in my classroom, and that's what I love to talk about. Yeah.
Awesome.
I wish it was used more in a lot of other college classrooms, to be
The
honest.
EDU stuff they're doing for Teams is really innovative. Yeah.
Yeah.
some
I
of
don't
my
understand why other schools aren't doing it.
Yeah. Excellent.
Steve Giano, I'm over at Capital Group, and I don't know if I have a favorite, but I've been kind of tinkering with some integration with it, so that's, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's.
With what? What did you don't say?
Integration, it's some VDC stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's-
Wow.
yeah.
Connection stuff, huh?
Trying to do some connections, yeah.
Wow. All right.
Christopher Cullum, I'm with MKS Instruments. It's a feature that's supposed to be rolling out this month is private channels and teams. So
Yeah.
Supposed to.
That'll be exciting.
it's supposed to be for a while.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
For the last
I won't
few
hold my
years.
breath till Ignite.
I've gotten like 5 requests so far this week on, hey, should we make multiple channels or wait for,
Wow.
or create multiple teams or wait for private channels? I said,
Yep.
I wouldn't bet on private channels this month.
Oh, it's, yeah. But this month is another question. Igor?
Igor Karen, Clean Energy Fuels, and I think my favorite feature is something that will be announced at the Ignite about Yammer. I don't know what it is, but everybody's talking about it, so I'm really waiting to hear that.
Wow.
Because
Year of Yammer.
we are somewhat successful with Yammer. We have a group of people who are successful, our field technicians. And I would like to use Yammer more, so it's probably something big is coming. And now at Stream, I'm really happy that we can finally sort videos by name. That was also something that was
Yeah.
long in the making. I'm not sure why it wasn't available since the beginning. The second feature I would love to see in Stream was to just build a playlist and have a SharePoint web part with that playlist that I can embed on a page. And the third thing that I would love to see in Stream is to attach video documents to videos. So it just our trainers are asking for this, and I'm just building pages manually with a video and a document, because that's how we train our technicians. They go to the video. I know that you can embed a form now
Right.
next to, but it would be nice to just slap a PDF with all of the bullet points as well.
Nice.
Thank you. David Levier, Crush Networks. This week, a lot of systems integration using Flow and K2.
Chris Barber, Solutions Architect, and my new favorite features are the new web parts. So the highlight and then the button that has a pop-up, and so those are probably going to be pretty useful with end users.
Nice.
Eric Schmidt, I'm a solution architect with Proficient. So I've been, my head's in Teams a lot lately and trying to figure out the best way to do some systems integrations into Teams and the use of the activity feed. How do we make it really so it is a place where people go to do the work, not just call it.
Arturo with REM Architects. My favorite feature right now is probably OneDrive and waiting for that differential sync to hit our tenant. We have a lot of CAD files. Yeah, I really like the OneDrive feature.
The lockbox thing? Or which?
Differential sync. So
Differential
that's
sync.
actually
Differential
just
sync.
for
Yeah,
files.
yeah. To take the 500 meg GIF and then you change one little thing, and it just
Yeah.
syncs the, that's cool.
I'm Joe Kwan, I've been really getting into Teams with my team internally, but from the SharePoint Saturday, automation was something that kind of piqued my interest in using Task and Planner and Teams, using an AI like a bot integrated with Corteva. One of the sessions I sat in was
Nice.
it was really interesting to be able
Whose
to-
session was that?
What was his name? I don't really know his name. It was
The cells.
Sounds.
Yes.
Ah, so I'll see you in an instant.
Yeah.
So it was neat. I think there's a lot of opportunity with things like technology like that to be able to integrate this suite.
Cool. Thank you.
Ashok Patel with Aegis Innovators. There was 2 sessions at SharePoint Saturday that we got me excited. I have a project like coming up this week actually about the kiosk for pet resort. Client walks in, they check in what they want to have, treats for them, for the pet,
Wow.
sign it, and be able to send a form directly to billing and to the client once it accepted the form. So I have
Interesting.
that mentally in my mind, I need to do it now.
Nice, nice.
So,
Ron Jones, visiting from the Atlanta SharePoint user group, well, SharePoint and Office 365 user group. We just made our name so long. It's
Yes.
almost unmanageable. I'm ready to take a note from them, 365. Thing I'm most excited about, I think, is just some of the NDA stuff we're seeing for teams and how it's gonna, some of the changes that are coming up are really exciting and terrifying at the same time. Because as you guys know, there's always the carrot and the stick with everything. There's a shiny object and there's, but you're gonna do these things when they happen.
Yeah.
But overall, we're super excited about it.
Toby Zapp, Director of Proficient, my first time here, so nice to meet you guys. I'd say, I'm gonna go more generic and just say SharePoint Online Modern. I've been working with it a lot lately. It took me a while to get into it, but now that I have, it's nice to see SharePoint finally to a point where you can use it kind of out of the box. I know we've all had challenges in it. Now, I've been working with it since WSS 3.0, and it finally does stuff out of the box that I never thought it could. So it's just it's refreshing.
Nice.
I'm Jaron with Gordian Medical. I would say the product I'm probably happy about, well, it's got a love-hate relationship, is Microsoft email security, ATP. Doing a lot of email hardening security recently.
Interesting.
I'm Jared Robinson.
You guys doing E5, by the way? Just a quick question. E5? Yeah.
Yeah, I've already found some faults in it.
Yeah. The ATP.
I'm Jared Robinson. I'm a consulting IT director, and it's good to be back in the group. I remember some people, and my favorite feature is definitely that little web page that pops up in so many products that allows you to log in with your phone and look like you're from the future. And everybody's eyes pop right out of their head. You didn't have to put a password in? No. Passwords are so 2017.
Yeah, right. Nice. Are you using Windows Hello or what are
I'm
you
using Windows Hello, but mostly it's just phone login with the Authenticator app.
Oh, okay. Authenticator.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
MFA?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, just like that.
Yeah. Nice.
And if you do it on your watch,
Oh,
feature.
yeah. Yeah. There you go. That's good. All right. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. I don't want to take too much of Ryan's time, but I do want to make sure that you guys are aware of events that are happening. There is the San Diego Productivity Office Group happening October 9th. The 12th, we've got Ensenada SharePoint Saturday. You guys know how far Ensenada is from here? It's next door, like it's super, super close. It's just beyond San Diego. Down the toll road. Yeah.
It's 2.5 hours. Come on, guys.
But seriously.
And then 5 hours to get back over the border.
It took me 5 minutes when I went last week. 5 minutes to get back. Just saying.
That's not a normal experience.
It really doesn't.
It really isn't. But five hours is another outlier. Yeah. So it makes up for his 5 minutes, I think. There's a team summit on the 23rd. So those of you who are talking about teams, those who are interested about teams, this is a full day event that I'm involved with. Ron in the back is involved with. We've got Microsoft IT is coming in talking about their deployment of Teams and migration from Skype. Super excited about what's possible with that, and would love to get the community involved. Yeah, Grant Earl is also speaking. Matt Sosaman. Yeah, not sure exactly what his role is going to be, but he wants to get involved with the event as well. And then we got Ignite coming up. Anybody going to Ignite? Yay! I'm on the waiting list.
Sold out.
Yeah, it's sold out. So that's a.
Oh, you mean going to sessions at Ignite? No, I'm just going to Orlando for the week.
There you go. Yeah, that might be me too. We'll see how the waiting list goes.
Which, by the way, I don't know if we have it up here, but we're doing a recap afterwards. So
Absolutely,
you can't make it.
absolutely. So if you happen to miss Ignite, the meeting following Ignite, do we have the date?
We have
20th.
The 20th of November is our user group meeting post Ignite, where we'll be able to chat and dig in with those who went and those who basically attended the parties
Or watched remotely.
watched all this stuff. Whatever, we're gonna gather all that stuff. I'm sure I'll be on a few panels leading up to the event.
Joel, where's the team? Is the team somewhere here?
Yes, in fact, it's not in this building. It's one exit up. It's at the Microsoft MTC. It's actually at the Microsoft offices.
Okay, cool.
In the harbor room. Yeah.
So it's building number 3, 1600.
Okay.
Yep. And I want to make sure, those of you who want to register, this is how you can register. It's a free event. So.
Yeah, all day, 8 to 5 kind of, all day.
Yeah, not 5, because I want to make sure people miss the traffic, so.
9 to 4.
9 to 4. Yep. But definitely encourage everybody to sign up for that. We do have sponsorship opportunities for the user group, and those who do, we do want people to talk about your organization and so on. Ensenada's coming up, 9 days. David will be there, I'll be there. We have over a dozen speakers.
14 speakers, 15 sessions, breakfast, lunch, SharePoint, almost 100 people registered. This is happening, people.
I will guarantee it'll be one of the most interesting SharePoint Saturdays.
Yeah.
Yeah, one way or another. One of the things that the San Diego user group has done is basically getting involved with an orphanage in Mexico. We have an opportunity user group to as well get involved, and I'll let David talk more about that too.
Yeah, we just really quickly, we went last week. Unfortunately, the orphanage had been broken into, and somebody stole the orphans' bicycles. So,
wow.
Part of the things that we're doing both in San Diego and in Ensenada and elsewhere is funds left over from sponsorship dollars of events or for SharePoint Saturdays. We take that money and we put it towards the orphanage. I take 4 trips a year down there, but primarily what, Joel's been there as well.
Yep.
We work on the computers. Usually within 24 hours of us leaving, the kids have screwed it up somehow. But most of it is patching and checking white lists and Firefox settings and having a great time. I mean, Nicole does other things while we're there that, we painted, we worked on bikes, we fixed chicken coops, we, painted walls, cleaned windows, as you would expect, and orphanage needs a lot of hands. So
yeah.
Our next trip is November, a day or two after our next user group here.
Yeah. Very, very worthwhile opportunity to help out.
Oh, we definitely need computers, monitors, mice, and keyboards. So if you have any of that stuff, please contact me. And we'll How old, Joel? Newer than the last 10 years. Will be newer than what they have down there. So flat panels, no CRTs.
Yeah.
It'll blow the circuit breaker if they're not flat panels.
Yeah, and so there are other things that are happening. There's an IMCP party on the 24th, so following that Teams Summit. There's the Tech Talk that's happening at the UTC, as in San Diego, on November 1st. Got Ignite. The Orange County one on the 20th we talked about. The orphanage trip on the 21st. And December 11th, the San Diego has VA Insight, who covers search, is sponsoring and speaking at the San Diego user group.
And the one actually next week, the October 9th, is General Networks or
Yeah, can SharePoint be an intranet?
Communication sites.
Yep. So I do want to, I think we should give a round of applause to Crush, who covered the sandwiches and sponsored this month's event. Why don't you just tell us a little about...
Sure. So we at Crush Networks, we do 3 things and 3 things only. We do systems integration, so that includes we're Nintex as well as K2 partners and Microsoft partners, so we do Flow. As well as we do Office 365 subject matter expertise. We have a healthy consulting practice with Fortune 100 clients, and we do systems integration, business, everything business process related. and the Office 365 subject matter expertise. I've got cards, I've got stickers in the back, and enjoy the food. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Dave. And yeah, without further ado, let me hand this over to Ryan.
All right, so beyond that one, we're going to be talking about streaming. How many people actually played with Stream in any shape or fashion? Okay, so we got a few people. So talking now, we had a bit of a history. So now we're going to be talking about live events. But if you're talking about the history, historically we've all had videos hosted in document libraries in SharePoint. We even had a Silverlight web part that allowed us to be able to work with that content. Hold on a second, let me switch. Managing live stream, there we go. So we had the document libraries hosting our content, we've had other information, and then Microsoft came out with Office 365 Video, also built on top of SharePoint. Had a lot of cool features, but didn't quite get everything we needed. And now Microsoft came out with Stream, which gets us even more cool stuff. The live events portion of Stream actually has been out for a little over a year now. And so since that point in time, Microsoft keeps adding features, adding improvements to it, making it a better product. And so what we're going to talk about today is just the streaming portion of it. So with that, you have the ability to create events, broadcast the content however you want. We have a few different ways, methods, modalities for producing live events, and we'll talk about what those all are and why you'd want to choose one over the other. But the main scenarios you can think of is, like, for example, wait, these are not working? Oh, it just doesn't work on the screen. So we have live events for company-wide. Think like town hall meetings. You have your executive team wants to say, hey, we want a message. We want to connect with our people on a regular basis. Instead of just being, okay, we're going to be up here in our high tower and we don't ever see them, they want to be able to provide that opportunity so management can come in and be more visible and be more involved with the rest of the company. Also, for example, if you want to do live training sessions, and we have a few people in here that talk about training stuff for colleges or different teams, so live events can come in handy for those as well. Also, we do have some analytics, and we're going to talk about some ways that we can do for more advanced analytics as we go along. But we do have the ability, kind of like what we have right now for our live stream that we're doing on YouTube. We can see how many people are watching it, what our general statistics and our general health is. All right, so when we're producing a live event, we have currently 3 sources that we can use. We can do it in Teams, we can do it in Yammer, or we can host it directly through Stream. And at this point in time, our max resolution is 720p.
It's gotta go up. Let's switch camera. That's good.
All right. There we go. So, not full 1080p HD, but 720p is a fairly good video quality. So with the different options, we have some different technical needs for whether we're doing how we produce the event, how we consume it, what our options are. So the first one we're going to talk about is actually directly part of Teams. So you'll be in Teams producing this live event. You don't need any extra software other than just Teams. So with that one, you can have multiple presenters, you can have people working on stuff. The other differences you get is you do get the ability to have a moderated Q&A, which none of the others, so whether they're Yammer or Stream, have that functionality. Also, at this point in time, if you need to be able to allow external people to be able to watch your stream, Teams is your only option at this point. Microsoft Stream does not allow external anonymous viewing yet. They've said they're working on it, but it's not there yet. Also, they all support comments, so you can all work through things. So this kind of gives you a high level of why you may want to choose it. A lot of times, if you're talking Teams, you're talking about the same use case and same people that you would have in Teams in general. Yammer is going to be similar, and then Stream is just nice. It's out of the box. You can roll it and then embed that video anywhere you want. So it's kind of a similar experience to streaming a video in YouTube, for example. Now just keep in mind, as far as storage quota, if you're doing live streaming, you don't care as much until you actually want people to consume your recording after the fact. So at this point in time, the storage quota is everybody gets 500 gig plus half a gig for every user you have licensed in your environment. So the bigger organization you have, the more space you've got.
Is that included with the E3 or?
Yeah, it's standard across everything. Even the basic business essentials plans get the same limits. Also, for limits, we got a 4-hour max for a live event. So it's not possible to do a full SharePoint Saturday all on one event, but you can split it up. So just you can't have one continuous one longer than 4 hours. Also, for a live event, you have a maximum of 10,000 attendees. So will it get more or not? We'll have to see.
But that's within the stream.
That's within the live stream
Yeah.
viewing.
Just can't do that in Teams. It's got 5,000 member limit, right?
You can do 10,000 if you're doing a live event. Yes, Dave.
What happens if one tenant wants to do 10 different live streams, each one with 10,000 users? Is that supported, I wonder?
As far as I know, yes. So if you really wanted to, you could get creative and have more than one live event going if you need to get past the 10,000, but I've personally not ever had an event big enough to even hit the 10,000 limit yet. So according to Microsoft, that's what the limit is, but they've also said they're working on bumping that up. Max video size if you're uploading one is 50 gig, and then 500,000 total videos, and then one user can upload a maximum of 5,000 videos. So a lot of, we got some cool functionality that's part of Stream, but a lot of stuff that relates because our content will go into Stream afterwards. Also, the Stream team has said they're working on reporting functionality. Right now, the only reporting you get is likes and how many viewers. But they do have a good blog article out here on the tech community that explains how you can set up, for example, a full Power BI business chart, Power BI chart that shows, okay, how many people have watched it, where they're watching from, how long did they watch, where did they drop off, because a lot of that information is all there, and they can explain how you can go pull those metrics out of the Office 365 audit log, and then you can store and generate reports from that information. All right, let's get into it. So starting out, like I said, we have the three modalities. So the first one we're going to start out in is Teams. So when we're in Teams, to get into that, we go into our meetings, or into our calendar, because we want to do a meeting. And I don't know about you guys, but anybody see an option here for a live event?
Meet now.
But Meet Now, it's just going to do like a phone call,
right.
like directly to a person. So close, but doesn't give us quite the functionality. So yeah, the problem is one of the problems Microsoft has in Teams is they've not really advertised how you do a live event in Teams. So the thing you have to keep in mind is you just go to a new meeting, and then it's kind of hidden. Yeah.
Really?
So if you were in Teams when it first came out, that menu was there. The text was there. The only difference is when they came out with live events, they put a little caret there to say, oh, this is now a drop down.
Wow.
So people aren't used to looking there. So for example, if we click on that now, we have an option to now do a live event.
Secret menu, like in and out, animal style.
Yeah.
Names.
Yep.
Let's do live thing on the on-demand page.
Yeah. So it's like, okay. So for example, we'll call this one, we'll see, 365, location, 2020 main. Oops. Yeah, I don't have a room called that. And we'll go from 12:30 to 1. That's all cool. Now the cool part about this is you can add in other presenters. So their experience is going to be just like if they were in a meeting. And they needed to share their screen, they need to add their camera. That's all they have to worry about. There's nothing fancy, nothing difficult for them to do. They join the meeting, say, hey, I want to share my screen, I want to share my camera. They're done. Then the producer can actually take that content that's being shared, and then they can munge it up, kind of mix and match based off of what the needs are at that point in time. So in this case, I just have me. Also, one thing to keep in mind, you're only allowed to have internal presenters right now. They've said they're working on the ability to get external people to be able to present, but right now they actually have to have an account in your organization. So we move on to next, and we have a few options.
So to clarify, that is no guest
accounts.
They can, there's ways we can get them in there, but yeah, no guest presenters at this point.
And the way that we've circumvented that in the past is you have created a event producer account and you've
Yep.
given that to people or something.
Yeah, so we've done it before, like, because we've been doing our live events, so for the San Diego user group, we've been doing our meetings and broadcasting them through Teams. So we've kind of worked through things, and so historically, we've had done it where we had people say, hey, go join this and share your screen through the Teams meeting. We've kind of iterated a little bit and made it a little simpler now, kind of same setup we're using here. But yeah, if you want to have external people, you have to be a little more creative about how you get to work.
The same limitation with just passing the ball. If you have a internal meeting, you're invited a vendor in or something, and the vendor wants to say, let me show you, blah, blah, blah. And they still can't just share their.
Usually in Teams, they can share their screen. If they're in a meeting,
Okay.
they have that ability to do that.
Okay.
But this is just kind of, as a live event, they don't. But so with that, we have the option to share it with specific people, specific groups in your organization. Say, hey, we want this just to be within our HR group. We have an HR summit, for example. Or you can say, okay, only with specific people. The default here is organization-wide, so anybody in your tenant. Based off of what you select here in the top, will change what's available and what's enabled below. So for example, if we look at org-wide right now, okay, we have a few options where we can say recording available to producers and presenters. You can't turn that off, but it just kind of shows you will have that option to have your recording available to you. Also, the recording is available to attendees. So anybody that's participated in this on your organization could actually go in and go access the video after the fact. You don't have to say, hey, let me go send you a link to it. They just go into their whole meeting and say, hey, I want to watch it again.
So in other words, if after the event is over and somebody's been out of town and they didn't watch it, they can go back to the same event URL and it will give them the option to download it?
Correct. Yep. Download it or even stream it as they're going through. So, yep. Also, one of the newer features they got is that you can do captioning. So, as people are talking, this is a preview feature, they can kind of get different languages. Yes, Ashok.
On the recording there, is that still internal?
From my experience, it's internal. It's there even on an external event, but I've not had the best luck accessing it when I've kind of participated in other people's meetings. So your mileage may vary. They may fix it, but at this point in time, yeah, it's internal only.
For download, but the stream tends to work, right?
Well, even this, yeah, if we're doing anybody can watch it, they can watch it, but the after the fact, you kind of have to pull down the video and then kind of provide another source for them to stream it because guests can't get into stream directly.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to ask. So downloads are only for owners of the video, right? It's
Well,
still the case.
You have the option for owners, but the guests can come in and download if you give them that option. The people that are in your organization, the attendees, but not
So
your
that
externals.
option is not only for viewing, it's also for downloading.
Yep. So that's why it says the recording. So that way, the recordings they can go in and just go say, "Hey, I want to go watch it again," and they can go.
Yeah,
do
I
that.
understand, but you're
Yeah.
saying that because we are actually struggling with this issue that other stream videos only owners can download it. So
Yes, that is a setting inside Stream.
okay,
And I think the Microsoft has said they're working on getting the option so you can choose, okay, do I want to allow other people to download this? But it's kind of one of those things with Teams, it is using Stream as the back end-ish, but then they're also tying into some of their same infrastructure for
so
Teams.
Can I do it the way that they can watch it, but they cannot download it?
If you take it and put it in a stream after the fact, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Ryan?
Yes.
I think the way that you've gone around this before with this issue where external people, like when we post a link on Meetup, is after the meeting, it notifies you when it's available for download. I think you historically have downloaded it, then you shared it in OneDrive, or I think you've dropped it in.
Yeah, we started, because with San Diego, we did the same thing where we have the external people watch it. I pull down the video when it's done. And then we have the same channel where our live stream on YouTube is going right now. We started pushing the videos up to there. So that way people can go reference back to them after the fact. Okay. If everybody here was all in the same tenant, we could put it in stream for that functionality. But we don't have that since Stream doesn't allow guests into it yet.
In fact, I've seen some strange things where people will record something, like say record a meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'd expect there just to be a link But I've seen people actually uploading the MP4 or whatever.
The right now, as far as I've understood, Teams will actually directly upload recordings of meetings into Stream.
Yeah, I've been using it for
Yeah.
quite some time, and
Yeah.
you get actually an email when it's ready on
Yeah.
Stream.
Yeah, because when you upload a video to Stream, it's got to do some processing, do your subtitles, do your all the AI features, the cool stuff we get with Stream. But yeah, then once it's done processing, then it'll let you know, say, hey, this is ready for
Have you ever
consumption.
done can you do that to a flow? Have you ever tried to see it?
There's no API for Stream at this point in time.
Period. Yeah.
Period.
It seems like there's like.
There's nada. So they have said they're working on it. Well, they're not working on it. It's on the roadmap, is what they have said. So they're right now slating sometime in 2020 is when they're actually having some sort of API, which is when we could start getting maybe some flow integration. But as of right now, we have nothing. Let's talk about that. Also, the cool thing, this is one of the ones you get with Teams, is you can do a moderated Q&A. So if you're sitting, say for example, doing a webinar, users can come in and they actually can ask questions, and then a moderator can say, hey, I want everybody to see this question, or I can just respond to them directly if it's something that they can interact with. And we'll take a look and see what that looks like.
Brian?
Yes?
Before we go,
Mhm.
do you know much about the captioning feature and if that's adequate or if there's any challenges with it?
That's a good question. We've got it enabled for our meeting next week in San Diego, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Because yeah, like I said, still is one of the newer features that comes out in the last few weeks, so I haven't had a chance to actually see how good it is. I know the captioning in Stream itself is pretty good, and as part of if you look at a video in Stream and you look at the transcription, they'll actually, if you download the file, it gives you a percentage of how much it thinks its accuracy is. So if it says, hey, I am 90% sure on this section that I got all the words correct.
Well, as I recall though, with Stream, it once you put the stream in there, it
Mhm.
then does the closed
Yep.
captioning.
Yep.
Whereas this has got to be doing it during
Live.
the live performance, live
Yeah.
show.
Yeah,
So
well, that's why I said I haven't had a chance to play with that one to
Okay.
know for myself. But like I said, I'll report back after next week when we check it out with the San Diego one, so we can see how it does it. Now, one thing with the captioning, you do get the default is your language. So in my case, it's English, and then you can add up to 6 other languages. So they have quite a few languages in there to choose from.
Can we add Spanish?
Sure, we can add Spanish. Problem is, we're not really going to have a whole lot, unless I actually probably could post the link and let you guys join. You can try that.
So last time I checked, the captions on Stream for regular Stream meetings was only available for English. So it's now available for, transcription.
The transcription is available for English and Spanish right now.
Spanish, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they have said they're working on more languages, but I have not heard anything released about anything more being released just yet. All right, so based off of this, also we want to come back up our event, just so that way I can actually have you guys participate if you choose. We're going to make it public. So as you can see, we mostly have the same options, other than as soon as we make this public, our last option on the bottom here, which is a little tricky to see down here, is how we produce this event changes. If you say you want public access, your option to use an external encoder goes away, because the external encoder goes straight through Stream, whereas the other one goes through Teams. So that's why we can get the anonymous access, because Teams has that functionality, but Stream does not yet. So just one thing to keep in mind. So now I can go ahead and hit schedule, and my meeting's ready. So I can click up here and get the link for attendees, and what we'll do, did I close it? Nope, still got it open. So I'm going to go ahead and paste in my really super long, ugly URL.
This is your email client from Blizzard, is that what that is?
Nope, this is Bitly.
Oh.
So what we've got, let's see, let's go copy. Okay, so if anybody wants to participate in this live event, if you want to experience the Q&A, for example, if you go out to that URL, you can actually join the event. So the beauty of it is you can do it anonymously. You could also, if you're signed in with Teams already, it's going to pick up who you are. But if you're just kind of going through the web, you can go in through anonymous, and it just says, okay. It'll show up in the history, the attendee interactivity report, I think they call it, as an anonymous. All right, anybody still need that? Okay. Guess we have whiteboard here.
That's a good idea.
Nope, not with that fence, huh? There we go. And keep in
Live
mind,
event hasn't
capitalization is important.
So I do see the Q&A panel.
Yep.
And I see the event hasn't started.
Nope, not yet. I gotta go in, join my side. So once you kind of come in, it is gonna look like a similar experience as to what you're used to working with a Teams event. I can say, hey, I'm not sure why it's not picking up my camera. Anyway, I'll leave it
Is
muted.
it because your camera is in use?
No, it does not.
Oh.
That's the camera that we're using streaming from that machine, which is why we have it separated. Because streaming with a stream going on, we don't need some of that. We're gonna have some streamception going on here in a minute, but
Is it a stream within a stream?
exactly, we've got a stream within a stream. Okay, so yeah, it says my video's not working.
Oh, by the way, it does have a camera down there now.
Yeah, it says it's on, but for whatever reason, my device is not wanting to turn on the camera. So we'll just have to imagine. You guys can see my face, and people on the
Is it possible
stream.
that it's
But it still says for us that
Select
it
the
hasn't
video
started.
you want.
Yeah, it hasn't started yet because I haven't hit that point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm in the producing experience. So if you go into produce an event, this is what you see. You have the left, you have the right.
Okay.
The left side is your kind of preparation, so you can kind of stage what you want people to see. The right-hand side is what people are actually seeing at this point in time. So for me right now, I'm just going to go ahead and say, you know what? Let's share. Actually, let's try this. See if I can get to switch cameras. It flickered. Sweet. Okay. I have me. So I can now come on here and I click the content I want to show. Now, that can be desktop, that can be camera. We're all good. Now, if you want to do a combination, so right now we have one or the other, camera or desktop. We can come over here and select both. And now it's going to default to your camera being on the right and then your desktop share being on the left. Now, if we had another presenter, their content that they are sharing will show across the bottom. So if there's another presenter, I can come in and select their desktop and show it on the screen, or I can select their camera, and so on and so forth. So for me, we'll just say, hey, we'll just share Notepad. Okay, so then I can now say I want to share Notepad. And once we're ready, I can hit send live. But you'll also notice up here, we have it, it's in the pre-live status. So as soon as I hit this to send live, this will transition your stage to what users would see. But I don't know if anybody's on the meeting. You guys see these changes yet? No. I haven't started it yet. As you'll see, the status still says pre-live. So you'll get a nice little prompt over here that says, hey, click this big yellow button so users can see what's going on. So now, as soon as I hit that, it says, hey, are you sure you want to do it? Once you start this, there's no way to undo it. So once you start, your event is locked. Which if you're trying to get another presenter added in after the fact, Teams has kind of wigs out at that point in time. If they're not already in the meeting, it says, nope, sorry, you're out of luck. So make sure they join before you hit that start button. So now, as far as you guys are concerned, you should be able to see this coming up on your screens shortly.
So again, they cannot join after the meeting started?
The presenter, no.
Oh, you mean the presenter?
Yes, people can come and go.
Okay.
It's just the presenters need to be there before. Now, they may have fixed that issue, but we've tried doing it before with San Diego, where we had tried joining a presenter after the fact, and it never showed up as their content to be able to do anything with. So keep in mind.
So you don't have to click record for this to be recorded, right?
Yep, it's already recording.
It's already automatically recorded.
Yep. And then we also have the nice little thing on the bottom saying, hey, we're recording. So at this point in time, on your interface, you have your statistics. Okay, we can see, hey, what resolution we're using. Our max resolution, we're doing 720p. Cool. And then we also have the Q&A. So we have some people asking why the sky is blue. We'll get to some of that part in a minute here. Also, you can do meeting notes. Okay, so this is still essentially a Teams meeting. So just how you can take notes in a meeting with Teams, you still have that option. There's also the chat. And keep in mind, this chat is only visible to producers and presenters. So this is your way of kind of coordinating between people on the meeting to say, hey, presenter 2, we're getting ready for you, make sure you're ready to go. So that way you can kind of have your internal communications without having to say, okay, do we want to send it to this person and all that sort of stuff. Yes?
How do you deal with the disclaimer for California and other states that require? Because Chris
Yep.
Gibbons, did you see?
Yep, I saw it.
Me and him this morning.
Yep, so essentially there is nothing. So at this point in time, for the most part, in this scenario for a live event, you don't care. They are not in the meeting.
So
So just to summarize, yes. So the issue is right now, if you're an organization that is responsible for GDPR, or I guess has to deal with GDPR or CCPA, okay, California's Consumer Protection Act or whatever, similar, it's California's GDPR. In that scenario, stream content, no matter what it is, has no hooks into the GDPR requests. So if somebody requests and says, hey, I want you to delete everything you have on me, and they are in a meeting, you're now in trouble. Because the only option is you have to completely delete the whole video. Or unless you go in manually and say, hey, I want to cut out this section of it. So it's kind of a pain. So it's one of those things to keep in mind. So the nice part is for example, in a live event scenario, they're not in it. The only people that can be there are your presenters. So it's kind of a smaller subset of people. So less of an issue, but yeah, there's still things you have to keep in mind. And part of the issue is Streams has no APIs. So there's no real way of being able to go pull that information yet for even for the Office 365 suite to go get the information it needs for that. Eventually we'll get there, but.
And I'm just thinking about GDPR, and I'm not getting into a whole, maybe this turns into a GDPR conversation, but a quick question about that is, does it apply to stuff that's not public? So that it's not right to be forgotten, right? Is that the...
No, there's the right to be forgotten stuff like for search engines, but as far as GDPR and CCPA is concerned, any body can submit a request for all information you have on them. And more particularly, like I know in California, the case is employees. So if an employee that used to work at your organization says, hey, I want everything you have on me, you have to give it to them. And then technically they also have the right of erasure, which they say, okay, I want this removed.
Oh yeah, anyway. So this isn't quite there unless you can identify everybody in it and then index it. And then
yeah, so like for example, in this scenario, it's a live event, so it's less of an issue because it's only the presenters are going to be the ones that are really going to be in there. If they have their comments in there, you can go through and expunge it at that point in time. But the video, the recording of this does not include the questions and comments. So it's kind of a separate thing. Those will still kind of come up under the Teams umbrella, so should hopefully come up. But yeah, it's kind of an oddball situation when we deal with that. So just keep in mind there's sensitivity. Yes?
So you said you can, basically it's integrated into Teams environment. Does it create a separate team in the background?
No.
With the attendees?
Nope. Nope, it just basically you specify when you're creating it, if you want to limit it, you can limit it to specific groups, but it just does it as a meeting and then grants permissions to it to those people. There's no special team or anything created for these events.
So if you're using files, then where would it store? The producer's OneDrive account?
It stores in the main person's account. It's like the meeting notes as well. It's going to just store it with that user.
Okay. Can you just piggyback on that? Can you share files with attendees? For example, this is the PDF for the.
I don't believe so yet.
Okay. You can just probably paste a link to it.
Yes,
but,
that you can do.
Yeah.
Yep. Because the options you can see we can see all the attendees, which actually this is just the presenters, which is just me. Settings, which is kind of just standard settings for Teams. Nothing fancy there. I can change my camera, what my speakers are, blah, blah, blah. Now, we come into our meeting here. Let's minimize this, this is annoying. Okay, we have our questions here. So like I said, this is a moderated Q&A. Nobody else sees these questions except for the person that asked it and me, and the fact that I'm sharing it to you on the screen. So if I want to respond to Garrett, I can. Okay? You got a 4-year-old question, I'll give you a response to a 4-year-old. Okay, but as you can see, at this point in time, anybody that's on the meeting, did you guys see that?
No.
No, you don't, because it's just a direct communication. Now, if I want this to be more public, I can say, I want to publish this question.
And your answer will show up as well.
No. So if I now go to publish, the answer is not there. And so if I want to say, so that way you can publish a question, you can respond to somebody, say, hey, yeah, we're going to respond to that in a minute, publish the question, and then you actually give a more official, a more appropriate answer instead of just because.
Or you can be mean in the private answer and then
Yep.
do something
He's like,
else in the public.
shut up, we'll answer this differently. Like, yes, very much, thank you for that question. Yeah, you can be a little more politically correct.
It's almost like he's been looking at our Q&A. This is great. How many times did you do this before you felt comfortable producing an event at the same time as presenting an event?
Well, that may take a little while. Like I was telling people earlier, we've had some flubs with make sure if you're doing one of these events, make sure you unmute yourself.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we did an entire meeting where we ran the whole meeting with the microphone muted.
Wow.
So it doesn't go so well. The nice part is like if you're doing it inside Teams, it actually will tell you if you're watching the screen. It says, hey, by the way, you might want to unmute yourself because the microphone can still pick up that something's going on, but it also knows that you're muted and nothing's getting sent across. So it says, hey,
It's like
unmute
the
yourself.
caps lock is on.
Yeah, it says, hey, you're muted. Do you really want to be this way?
Realize?
Does it notice if you're just not presenting any audio at all?
Yeah, that's what it says. It says, hey, you got nothing here.
Well, like if your microphone setup is more exotic and you've muted it in some other, say you have a mixer board, is it gonna say, you know, I'm not hearing anything?
I think it does. So at least it kind of says, hey, we're not picking up anything.
That's cool too.
So at least, hey, you want to unmute yourself?
I thought when we used your external mic, it had a mute button on
It
it.
did. And Teams actually said, hey, you need to unmute yourself, but nobody was watching the screen to say, hey,
Okay.
we need to unmute. So just kind of keep that in mind. Also, like I said, if we want, I can switch this back to single screen, send live, and now it'll switch the two out. So in a minute here, you guys will see the change and you'll get just the notepad screen.
Can you do a PID for the video?
Not at this point in time. So if you want to do, like right now, your only options are
Just on the sidebar.
on the side. Now, there are some ways, and this is the way we do it in San Diego, you can cheat to do a full production experience where you actually have the picture in pictures, you have the screen and the picture up on the side underneath. We're cheating to do that one. Not really cheating, but just kind of being a little more creative in that we're actually sharing an external monitor that actually have the producing software do it, which we're using an encoder to do that, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, so there are ways you can kind of be creative and make it work.
And you can have multiple video sources, right? I can switch between, for example, like a room view and then the presenter view.
Yep. Yeah, you can have that. But the thing, if you're going to do that, you'll also have to make sure you have another presenter that has that connected to a machine to be able to kind of swap out with Teams. Because like for Teams, your only option is okay, I can do this, and I can swap, which you guys now get the desktop. But really, there's not an easy way of doing that unless you actually have another presenter say, okay, now I'm going to swap in your content to pull that in.
Okay.
Because otherwise, like I said, it just switches them out. So then come back on. Yeah, we covered what we need to there anyway. All right, so when we're done, I can go ahead and hit end. Okay, and it says the event's ended, and then you guys will get kicked out of it in a minute. So if we go into this after the fact, I can now leave. And if I come back to my calendar, okay, you now also have your resources.
What's the typical lag? Is it about a minute?
It depends on the event and what the system's doing. Usually my experience is pretty close to about a minute behind. Yeah. Sometimes you get a faster one, especially if you're going through, I think Teams is a little less, so it just kind of depends on your connection with the server. But what we got here, so we got the Q&A report, so you can, all of your guys' questions, I can go export them to say, hey, maybe there's a question that we didn't get a chance to get around to answering. We can go answer it personally after the fact or through another channel. You also have the attendee engagement report, which tells you when people joined, when they left, who they are, if we have that information. So as you saw with the questions, we had people, we actually knew who their names. That's because they already signed into Teams with that name, so it carried across. And then you also have the the recording for the attendees, I can turn it on or off. Also, if we have our transcript, let's see how this works for Spanish. Especially with me not being right next to the microphone, we'll see how that worked.
I have a question.
Yes.
What's the experience if you want to play a video in a presentation? Is it like when you send it live, can it start automatically, or you send it live and you have to press it to start playing?
You'll have to kind of you have to put it on there and then send it live, because it's going to treat it just as any other content.
Yeah, but when do I start it? Just I start it and then send live?
If it was me, I would send live and then start.
And then start it, okay.
Yeah.
There's no option like start videos automatically if you send it live or something?
Yeah, like a lot of that content is just it's just treating it, you're doing a screen share. So any way you would do it in a regular meeting
Okay.
is the same setup.
Okay.
Yep.
Are all those attendee engagement report, QA report, is that all available to all attendees if they go back in there, or just
Just presenters and then producers.
also the presenters as well?
I believe it's the presenters. I know for sure, yes, it is producers, but I think presenters have access to it as well.
This transcript, is there a way to do transcripts post-event if you forgot to turn it on earlier?
Put it into stream and let it do it. Because it'll do it automatically once you put it over there. So right now, we can go look in my stream. This event's not going to show up. So if we go into here, let me go into stream. There we are. Authenticate. Come on. So if I go into my content, okay, it's not there. So that's one thing to keep in mind at this point in time. If you do a Teams hosted live event, it doesn't automatically make it into stream. Whereas Teams meetings automatically go in, they just don't have this part going in there yet. So to get it into stream, you have to go pull down the video and manually upload it. Which at that point in time, you could turn on captioning and the automatic transcription.
Are those scheduled live events that you have?
No, these are past ones. But as you'll see, the difference is anything that has the little speaker sound type thing, that's a live event. These are ones that are in the past that I recorded for different demos. But yeah, I haven't published those. Those are just kind of sitting out there. There's also just regular videos like this guy here, for example. So to move on to the next one, so first thing, are there any questions on live events and Teams?
Yes. Now and there, I'm just trying to think, you probably already covered it. When is it vulnerable for being deleted or disappearing? Because it automatically saves it, right? And
30 days, from right now what I've seen is 30 days after the meeting. If you haven't downloaded it, say goodbye.
Okay, that's not asking. Okay.
Yeah.
But you have, immediately after for the immediate future,
Yes, you got it right. You got it shortly afterwards, but yeah, you've got 30 days to host it someplace else, like to pull it down and put it in stream, for example. And then we're able to get it. Yes.
So, but if you were to have created this not using Teams but using Stream, then it would have stayed in Stream.
Yep, automatically goes straight in.
Definitely.
Yep, and it's there until you delete it. So let's go and take a look at how we would do that. So I'm not going to go through the full stream experience just because it's fairly similar to the Yammer one, and this one's a little more specialized. So inside Yammer, we can also do live events. And they have some different experiences and different things about it. One thing to keep in mind, to create a live event in Yammer, your group that it's in has to be Office 365 group connected. And for the most part, your Yammer has to be in Office 365 connected mode. So if you don't see that option in there, that's why. So for example, I go to, I think it's my test one. You'll see on the right-hand side here, hey, we have events. So we have some past ones that I've done. And if we scroll down here, we also now have an option to create a live event. Now, last time I checked with Microsoft, the create a live event option was only available to the owners of their group.
Sorry, what page are you on right now?
Yammer?
Oh. Okay.
Yep. So in Yammer, we do have that ability, but like I said, if your group is not Office 365 connected, then you won't see it. I remember the one time I was prepping for a demo, I'm like, hey, why is it not there? I'm like, oh yes, forgot that step. So it has to be in group connected mode for that to work.
Group connected mode.
Yeah, so just since we have questions here, if we go into our settings, and I believe, network admin, there is...
Aren't all groups now group connected? I mean, all Yammer.
You can choose, like some of the, so somebody that's in an older organization may not be, I forget where it's at.
That's fine, that's fine. If we have time, we can pick that up afterward.
Yeah, one of the settings in here, I always forget because I just have to go find it, is it'll ask you if you want to be in group connected mode. I've already switched mine over. So it's usually just something you have to do a one-time set, but
I think now it's a default setting.
it makes sense because they're kind of pulling things over. But like this tenant's been around for a while, so if you're in an older tenant, you may run into that. So.
Essentially, if you see Office 365 resources section, it means that you're
Yeah.
group connected.
Yeah, so for example, my Yammer Live demo is not. So there's no option for Office 365 resources, there's no live event. This is not an Office 365 group connected group.
I get it now.
So.
Okay.
All right, so now if we create a live event, now this is one of the things that Microsoft has changed in the last few months. Historically, if you created a live event in Yammer, it kicked you over to Teams to do all the configuration. Now they give you a nice little prompt to say, hey, how do you want to do this? Do you want to go to Teams? Because you can still use Teams as the production platform if you want. Or we can do directly through Stream using an external app or device in Yammer, which this is the one that's kind of similar experience even in Teams if you select the external app or device. So we select that, we'll hit next. Similar information that we had to gather for Teams. Okay, we can add in presenters, blah, 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 schedule. Okay, so now we're ready to go. I can come in here and click Start Setup. And that's one thing you have to remember. It's going to hit me every once in a while and I forget to hit that button first. If you're doing an external encoder, if you don't hit Start Setup first, your encoder is going to complain when you try and start streaming because it hasn't fully set up the endpoint for it yet. Now it says it's ready to connect. So in Yammer, if you come over on the side here, it says ingest URLs. So I can take one of these and then I can launch an encoder. So one I like using is OBS because it's free. So for example, this is kind of the setup we've used for this event and for San Diego. So we got a nice little fancy background instead of the standard black. If I want to change out the camera, we don't have that one. I want the front camera. And just for grins and giggles. Okay, here's me. Now I take that URL it gave me, I go into settings and stream, and you can choose. They have some defaults, so they have Twitch, they have YouTube, they have some different things. What we want is we want custom, and we paste in our URL, and then we can take the last section and use that as our stream key. So now it is ready to go. I just hit start. Let's turn this over. Okay, so now in Yammer, this will show up with the delay. So just one thing to keep in mind. But here you can see in the background, we have the logo pulsing. Means it's starting. It's picked up content. It's starting to load it up, and
action.
And
Right, there's
yes.
no closed captioning option though.
No, it does. This one does closed captioning after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah, so the automatic transcription happens as part of the stream process. So as soon as the live event is ended, Stream will pick it up and start processing the transcription. Oh, of course there's a problem. I'm doing a live demo. Heaven forbid.
It has nothing to do with the demo video within a video.
No, because they're in separate machines. It could be the fact that I'm taking up a bunch of bandwidth on that one to do this video. But
So essentially on Yammer, you need to have your custom encoder. That's the only way
Don't-
to embed it.
yeah, there we go. So we got it. You don't need to, but it's an option. Like I said, you have the option when it first comes up to start a live event. Do it through the custom external encoder or do it through Teams.
But it means that it will be embedded on Yammer
Mhm.
Or you have to go to Teams to view it?
Either way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you were hosting it, if you create it from Yammer, it'll run in Yammer.
Okay.
And you can consume it in either place.
What's the pre-live?
That's just telling you, like, just like in Teams, how we have the status says, hey, you haven't actually gone live yet.
Mm.
So I can see it since I'm the producer. Anybody else joining the Yammer group will just say it hasn't started yet. So then I have to hit the start event. And then it switches it over to.
And it does say no audio, I guess, there, huh?
Yeah.
That little-
Well, this is
that's
just saying
local.
my audio coming back is muted, so that the player's audio is muted. This one's not saying that there is no audio.
Got it.
But because I think this actually probably would pick up audio because I haven't muted it. But anyway, so that we can just leave that one running. Now the cool thing they got though is when it's in Yammer, you have Yammer. So I can come in. One of my favorite ways to test this. Okay, if you've heard of lorem ipsum,
Yep.
bacon ipsum's a lot funnier.
I saw that on your Yammer page.
Mhm.
That's why I was wondering what that was.
So yeah, if you go, so you have lorem ipsum. They have ipsum generators for all sorts of things. I love the bacon ipsum one just because it's kind of funny. It lists all a bunch of different meat cuts.
Yeah.
So a little different than the standard Latin.
That's a great thing.
Okay, so now if we kind of paste that in there, I can ask my really long question.
Very practical. Huh?
Okay, so now my question's in there, and I will hit expand just to kind of show one of the cool things we get here. With Yammer, as people are consuming the feed, okay, people are interacting, they're having discussions about what's being talked about in the video, they can scroll down. Oh, stop. Yeah.
I was
lost our
supposed to
connection.
jump into the little window.
Yeah, it'll kind of pop in a picture-in-picture on the bottom right. So that way they can still see and hear what's going on in the video while they're interacting with the discussion. Maybe if it looks like it's stalled out. Hello. Okay. Try.
Is that per browser? Like, is it different in Chrome and Edge?
No, the behavior is the same. I'm not sure why it's not cooperating with me this one time. But anyway, that's when it decides that it wants to cooperate. Maybe just because I'm actually producing the event. But it will show it off in the side view. And then I still have the option, I can go out and share this video with other people. So if I say I want to attendee link, and you can see, since it's actually run through Stream, we have two different URLs. You have the Yammer URL, and you also have a Stream URL. So if you want to say, hey, we want people to kind of split up consumption, whatever reason, however you want to manage that. So if I take this and paste, I'll actually come in as an attendee instead of the producer. Okay, cool, also muted. Now this one should pop over, there we go.
Nice.
So then if I expand this guy, make it the full size. Okay, so I can scroll down and I can interact with it. Also, as people are asking questions in Yammer, it'll pop up on the page as well. So you don't have to worry about, hey, I got to refresh and all sorts. It'll just keep going and just keep loading.
Can you allow people to ask questions using audio? Just
Not with live events. Yeah, live events at this point in time is one direction only. You're pushing content to them. Which is why it's nice. Like the only way to get questions is through the Q&A or through like Yammer, just ask questions directly. If you need to be able to do back and forth, you're just better just doing a Teams meeting in that scenario.
You need moderated, basically.
Yeah, because well, the moderate like in Teams, people can do questions in the chat or they can do audio. But if you want to get things from the users, yeah, this has to be a full meeting to get to the two-way.
Is that window floating because you're presenting in Yammer?
No, because I'm watching the video in Yammer.
On Yammer, okay.
Yeah, because if I stop the video, I can go ahead and close it. But it's just because I've told the video to play, and then I scrolled down on that video page.
And
Yes.
then in the Yammer stream, you have multiple presenters,
Uh-huh.
or only teams.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing though is since we're using external encoder, it gets a little trickier because the content has to come through the encoder. So in this particular encoder, I can pick up, right now I have my camera. I can switch into different views. That's picking up a different view of the camera. I can also pick up a screen capture. So you have to, whatever you're using, whatever other sources you want, have to come into the machine. So for example, for our live stream, I have a capture card sitting up here, which is how we're getting the content connected to that machine to be able to stream it out to Yammer. Same setup. You can have multiples of those connected into your streaming machine, and then you can toggle between those as much as you need.
But they would have to be local? They would be connected, they
You-
would be connected to your decoder, to your.
You have to be able to get it to that machine somehow.
Yeah.
Either it's a connected directly. I've also done connected the laptop to a WebEx meeting and just snag a section, do a screen capture, just snag a section of the screen to be able to include their content. So there's
Right, so
there's
it's
ways to be,
freedom ways.
you have to get it somehow onto that machine.
The gateway through yours.
Yeah. If you're doing Teams, they're connecting in kind of you have the Teams functionality, so it makes it easy to share the content. But if you're doing external coder, you have to get it to that machine somehow.
And again, the only reason you want to do an external encoder is for the additional layouts, backgrounds.
Yeah, you get more power. It's like this one, as you can see up here. If I switch back to our one where we had the video,
I'm just thinking, like, if you're, somebody might present, say, I need to do what seems like at the time, this type of, we're going to present to the
Mhm.
masses. Then you find out later he's going to invite external guests to present a project they're working on or something like that. It seemed like a town hall, one person presents to everybody, then you realize on his agenda, he's got these external participants.
they need to tell you about that beforehand.
Yeah, I know.
But then,
So
if
that-
they tell you about it, there are ways you can work it in.
Yeah.
There are ways you can do it, but yeah, you just have to keep in mind, if you're using the external encoder, the encoder has to have access to whatever content you want to present. So for example, this particular one, I have my camera, and this one's it has the same setup. You have your stage and you have your live. So I can come in here, even though they're both showing the same thing right now, I can select my camera, and I can say, you know what, let's shrink it down. Oops, I selected the wrong one.
That's the content one.
I selected the background.
Okay.
I want the camera.
Can you
Oh,
animate
come on.
the background in here?
Yeah, you can just load in a video in the background, do whatever you want. You can do different transitions. There we go. Nice, now good. So as you can see, even though it is still the same scene, as they call it, I can edit, make changes, and then I can say, you know what, switch over. And then now the other content's available. So you can kind of, like I said, switch out, have some predefined, okay, we have speaker 1 screen, we have speaker 2 screen, and however you want to work with that. Yeah?
Can you preload the Q&A?
Preload the Q&A. Was like in Yammer? Like
Well,
have people ask questions beforehand?
In Teams, yeah. Can you post questions or polls or anything like that?
You can have them ask their questions, but yeah, and you can kind of post some information out there to them, but it's not it's pretty much, they can go in and start asking their questions before the event, and then they'll just queue up and then somebody can come in during the event. Same thing with Yammer. They can just go into the Yammer group, open that event, and then they can start asking questions on it as well.
And on the video side, again, they, 6 months or a month ago, Skype, 6 months or a year ago, Skype was telling everybody, hey, we can blur out the background and just have it focus on it.
Yeah, in Teams.
Is that there by default here, or?
In this particular one, no. There are some different plugins you can get. So for example, if I take my camera, I have different.
That was where you can do some fun things with the part that's just blurry and make it.
Yeah, you can do filters. So for example, you can do whatever filters you want posted in there. The biggest one I know a lot of people do is, where's the mic? So for example, if you had a green screen type scenario, and
Key, whatever it's called.
oh, that's the audio filters. No wonder. Camera
Key
filters. I want to do here we
Chroma
go.
key, that's it.
I want top one. Anyway, they keep moving it to figure out. There it is, chroma key, just in the bottom one. Okay, you can also do crop. You can do masks, blending things. So there's a lot of different things you can do with it. But the difference is with the external encoder, it is more powerful, which also means it's going to be more complex. Takes a little more time to figure out what all the different settings are. All right. And then, for example, I can go ahead and say back to here, and I can say end event.
Now, Yammer doesn't have the previewing of the Q&A part.
Yeah, no, there's no Q&A. Really, the only Q&A is just part of the Yammer feed itself. So this one will now end the event, and then it says ended, and then now they can come watch the video after the fact as part of that Yammer. And then they have the discussions that happened as it went along. And then just so we don't use up all the bandwidth, we'll go ahead and stop that one for streaming. And then, for example, once this is done, I'm going to close this. I can now go into my videos inside Stream. And if I reload, we'll now see we have the OC365. And included the Yammer conversation and transcript that will be there when it comes in. Also, we have people, which also isn't quite ready yet. Okay, so the same functionality you get in Stream is now available in there as part of the video.
People? What? What is people?
Face recognition.
Yep. It recognizes that when somebody is talking, this is the face that's showing. So for example, you can say, hey, as part of ours, while I'm talking, I can jump just straight to that part. Skip past all the Joel talking and all those sort of things if we wanted to. We have that option.
Yeah.
If you wanted to say, hey, I know in our town hall meeting, we had our CFO was talking about these new financial incentives. They announced a new employee stock purchase program, for example. You can say, okay, I know what that person looks like. It'll actually give you a little circle with their picture on it. You can say, okay, here are all the spots where that person is talking.
Yeah.
And you can jump straight to that spot in the video.
There are definitely some screenshots of that.
Yeah, like for example, I've got so many other videos that we can go pull that up on. But it is kind of cool stuff, so trying to find one.
That has more than one person.
Well, I don't know that I have any that has more than one person. Actually, no, I think this one. This one is a stream promo video that they did at Ignite. If I get my audio up.
That's what it looks like. See what
Yeah, I think I shut it off on that one. But anyway, so underneath it will have just basically different faces. Also, it can have some false positives. So for example, if you have somebody presenting something on the screen that has a picture of a face, it can say, hey, talking, it pulls the face off of the screen as the person is talking. It's granted it's going to say, hey, this is probably not as good as some of the other ones, so it does give you the option to say, hey, here's all the faces, and you can start merging different ones together. Say, okay,
I like your
these people are
transcription there
together.
too. Education licenses monkeys. See that
Yeah,
there?
that was me editing. So the cool part is once you
okay.
get your transcript, I can come down here. Oh no, the audio. But yeah, I can come in and say,
Okay.
just change it out. Just kind of show how easy it is to go in through and change the captions. And the cool part is, like I said, you can, with Stream, you can take the transcription, export that transcription, hand it off to a translator. They just have to translate the text in that file, give it back to you, and you can now have your subtitles in a different language. So I think on this one I actually translated to a section of it in French.
And is that a little link that you can even add, that open questionnaire? Or is that the form integration?
Which one?
Where it says the word open?
Oh yeah, that's the forms integration.
Got it.
Oh yeah, we do have it. It's just hiding behind. Okay, so for example, let's turn on my subtitles. There it goes.
It just went off again.
It's there. Let's just jump back. Okay, so you can see I translated it from English to, went through the Bing translator and said, okay, translate this text, put it in French. And then it switches back to English again because that's only as far as I got. But
So is the reason why you can do our meeting today from Teams and go straight into YouTube because you're using the encoder?
the one we're doing for the ones we're doing into YouTube goes straight from the encoder to YouTube. The Teams isn't really involved. Yeah, the ones we do in San Diego, we do kind of combine since we're doing it through Teams. We have Teams and the encoder, just so that way we get the more formats and make it a little simpler to do the presentations.
But you're also doing that today, right? The same way?
This one's going straight to YouTube.
Straight to YouTube from?
The encoder.
From the encoder,
Yep.
not from Teams.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Just because it gives us a little more flexibility to set things up. So there's different reasons why you want to use different platforms. Teams is nice because we've already got it. Same thing, like if you're streaming through the encoder straight to YouTube, it ends up right in YouTube when you're done. I don't have to go download the video and go push it up, whereas which we do have to do with doing it through Teams. So there's some different reasons why you will want to go different ways. In your organization, it's probably going to dictate more which solution you're going to do. You may or may not want your content on YouTube, which this one we kind of want people to be able to participate. So, all right. Any other questions? All right. At that point, any questions? I say thank you for coming. If you have any questions, I do have my contact information here on the board. If you say, hey, I come up with something I thought about afterwards, and there you go.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, thanks everybody. Did we get validations?
Yes.
Done.
Thank
Sweet.
you.
Anybody have any that we didn't get? Good. Thanks again. Appreciate your feedback. Definitely let the sponsor know. Thanks for appreciate their contributions here as well. In fact, you'll see a lot of David. I think he's on our committee as well. So, thanks everybody for coming, and have a good day.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
cheers.